I am on the same page in my packet, which is page 12, but I am now doing some problems from page 14. So I've already copied the problem, so if you need to pause the video for just a moment to copy. I'm going to go back through those steps that I mentioned. Step one is make sure that all of the like terms are in columns. So we've got x's, y's, equal signs, and constants. If they're not in a column together, then we need to move them around. All of these are. The next thing is we look to see, do we have a variable that has matching coefficients? When I look at the x, they both have a 6. When I look at the y, they do not match. So I can get rid of the x's. Now, if I want to eliminate the x's, I cannot add them because 6x plus 6x makes 12x. But I can subtract them. Now I'm going to teach you two methods to do this same problem. I don't care which method you go with. You go to whichever method works best for you. But notice I'm going to switch the color here. We are going to subtract these this time. So 6x minus 6x goes away. And here's where students will start to mess up. When you're subtracting, you have to subtract all three columns. They remember well to add all three columns, but sometimes we get to subtracting and we forget. So they'll subtract one column and then add the rest. So be careful. 5 minus negative 7 is positive 12y, and 4 minus negative 20 is positive 24. So remember, I just subtracted all three columns. Now we've got it down to one step equation. So I would divide both sides by 12 and I get y equals 2. Once I know what one variable is, I can substitute it into the other equation or to either of the equations. So I'm going to choose the first one. So 6x plus 5, but instead of y, I'm going to put 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract 10 from both sides and get negative 6. Divide both sides by 6 and get negative 1. So the ordered pair is negative 1, comma 2. Now, that's the first way. I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to do the same problem over again and show you the second way to do this problem. Again, you check to make sure that all the columns are lined up, which they are. So then you look to see if you have any matching coefficients, and we've already established that x matches. But a lot of books do not teach that you can subtract them. What a lot of books teach is they say you have to make it so that you can add them. So if you make it so that you can add them, you're going to have to multiply one of the equations by negative 1. So they would multiply the second equation by negative 1. And so if they multiply it by negative 1, that makes negative 6x plus 7y equals positive 20. Then we just copy the first one above it, exactly like it was. We did not multiply the first one by negative 1, only the second one. Now, why did we do that? We did that so that they would be opposite signs, and then we could add them. So now I'm going to add all the columns. So 6x plus negative 6x goes away, it eliminates. 5y plus 7y is 12y, and 4 plus 20 is 24. Once we do that, we get the same answer we got over here. So then we would do the same last step and we'd end up with the same answer. So if you prefer to just subtract them when you start because you see that that's what you need to do, you can do that. If you're like, I don't understand, well, I understand subtracting, but I'm not very good at it, then multiply one of the equations by negative 1, and then you can go from there. And you might say, well, Ms. Dix, how do I know when I need to add and when I need to subtract? Well, let's make a note for ourselves. If the matching coefficients are like signs or the same sign, then you need to subtract. If they are unlike signs, then you need to add. Here's what I mean. Over here, we had 6x and 6x. Those were both positive, so we subtracted to get rid of it. Here, we had 6x and negative 6x. Those were unlike signs, so we added to get rid of it. What you're trying to do is to get it to become 0. You're trying to eliminate it. So you're going to do whichever one you get when you are eliminating them. Now, the same thing applies for elimination that did with substitution. When you finish, if both variables eliminated and you get a true statement like 5 equals 5, then you know that the answer was infinitely many solutions. If both variables eliminate and you get a false statement like 0 equals 5, then you know the answer is no solution. So the same applies there. We're going to do a little bit of practice with this. And then tomorrow we're going to get into what do you do if they are if they're not matching coefficients.